Hey guys, welcome back to Michelle's STEM Journey. I'm Michelle and I'm here today with the 7th video in the series Swift and Xcode. In today's video, we will be exploring more about Xcode, such as buttons and interactive UI things. So without further ado, let's get started. Hey guys, welcome to video 7 in the series Swift and Xcode, and today it's kind of like part 2 to last week's video, so Xcode part 2, and today we will be learning about interactive UI features. So we have already learned some of the basics in Xcode. However, in this video, we will learn how to take user input and learn how to create some interactive UIs. So text field is a UI component that allows users to enter and edit text. It is commonly used in forms, search bars, and any other interface where user input is needed. There is a string named placeholder. This will disappear once the user starts typing something. We also have text:value next to it, which is used to store the text the user inputs. We will worry about this later. So this is what it looks like once you drag a text field from the library, or you can type it out. So right here in double quotes, there is the word placeholder. And if you see in the preview over here, it's really faded, but there's the word placeholder right here. And so if the user goes over here and types and clicks on it and starts typing, this placeholder word will go away and the user can start typing. So let's go to Xcode in practice. Okay, so we are in Xcode right now, and I added a VStack, and then we can go to the library, and then I'm going to drag a text field. So here is the automatic layout, and instead of having the word placeholder here, I'm going to replace it with enter your name. And we're just going to leave this alone for now. So if you see over here, there's a really faint line of text that says enter your name, and if you double click on it, you can start typing. Okay, so let's add some modifiers. So we can add multi-line text alignment to make a center, and then you can make the font title, and then, so in this example here, we made the font title, and then line 13 over here, it is to make the background color purple, and then these few lines 20 to 21, we added a white rectangle that surrounds our text field, and then there's other modifiers. Okay, so we're back in Xcode, and we can add some modifiers, and I'm going to first start off by changing the background color to, let's make it orange. And then I'm going to put ignore safe area, and if you see here, we had this white part, but that got rid of it. And okay, so if you see here, the background color is filled with orange, but then at the bottom we have our text field. This is because we have a VStack. And so in order to have the text field on top of the background color, we can add a Z stack. Above, and then we can indent everything else. So I added the Z stack, and then we can take this background color out of the V stack, and then we go put it in the Z stack. So it is outside of the VStack now. So basically what we're doing is ZStack creates layers. So we have in the ZStack by itself the background color, and then we added a VStack. So on top of the background color, we're now adding the text field. And then I'm going to add some modifiers for the text field. So I am going to add a padding Okay, so I added some modifiers and now it looks like this. Okay, so now let's move on to buttons. So a button has two parts, the string that appears on the button and an action. The action is what we would like to do when the user presses the button. And so the name button in parentheses, this is the name of our button, and then the action is what it does when we click on it. Okay, so under the V stack, we are going to add a button. And then I'm going to call it submit. And so now I have a submit button, and I haven't added anything inside the submit button yet, so if you click it, nothing is going to happen. But that is okay, because let's talk about property wrappers. So when the user types something into the text field and hits submit, that data needs to go somewhere so we can use it later. We want to store this data in a variable, or in this case, it's called a property because it is part of the struct. For now, we can just use the name property. Okay, so basically in the text field, the user is going to type something, and then once they hit submit, we obviously need to store that data. And so to store that data, let's talk about this. So property wrappers in Swift allow you to define reusable patterns for how properties are stored and accessed. They encapsulate the behavior of a property and can be applied to multiple properties in a consistent way. Simply, as property wrappers wrap a simple property and make it into more. So state is one of the most common property wrappers in Swift. The @state property wrapper is used to declare state variables in the Swift UI views. State variables are used to store values that can change over time and need to trigger a UI update when they change. The Swift UI framework automatically monitors the state variables and updates the UI when they change. Keep in mind that the in state is used to denote property wrappers. Therefore, we can now update our property name. So here in this example, we added a state property wrapper. So we used @state, and then we declared a variable, which I mentioned over here. We needed to store the data, so we can store it in a variable. And for now, I'm just going to use private variable. So that's private var, and then it's I named the variable name, and then equals to, I just put an empty string so we can update this later on. And so going in Xcode, we are going to add the state property wrapper beneath the struct but above the var body sum view. So I'm going to put @state private var name equals empty string. And you see that doesn't really do anything to our preview yet. So now let's talk about binding. Bindings are a mechanism in Swift UI that create a two-way connection between a property that stores data and a view that displays and changes the data. They are denoted using the $sign. So now we can change the value of text in text field to the $sign and name. This will store whatever the user inputs into a private variable name. Let's use our button to print the name property to ensure the data is being stored correctly. We don't need to use the $sign here because we are not binding the property, just accessing it. So here in the text field, we named it enter your name here, and then whatever the input, we stored it into this name. And then for the button, the action part, we are going to put print name, and this will just print it out to make sure that we stored it correctly. And so this is what it looks like. So basically, because I only printed it out, the name, then that means that once I entered something here and clicked submit, it will go down over here. So it wouldn't really pop up anything over here, but rather down here. Okay, so coming back to our own code, it gave me an error because I don't have anything here for the text. So I'm going to put $sign and then name so you can store it in this variable. And then I'm going to change up the button a little bit because I want to make it fancy. I want the user to, once they hit the submit button, something will pop up that says hello, comma, and then their name. And so instead of this, I'm going to change it to action, colon, and then I have these open curly brackets, and then inside I'm going to put print hello backslash parentheses name. This can get a little confusing, but I just mess around with it a little because these could be really confusing and it will give you an error if you are missing some open and curly brackets, so just make sure to be really careful with that. But I have an action right here that will print out hello and then their name, and you see that the submit button here disappeared. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add a text, and it's going to say submit, and see, it pops right back up. And then we can add some modifiers. Okay, so I added some modifiers and now it looks like this. And let me type in something here. So I'm going to put my name and then I'm going to hit submit. And then you see here, down here, we have hello, hello, those were just tries. And then I put, and there's popping up hello, comma Michelle. So that means that it works. It correctly stored what we wanted. And the reason why it's not popping up on this screen, but rather down here, is because if you wanted it to pop up on this screen, then you need to declare another state and then private variable, and you can call it, for example, title, and then you need to add some other stuff to make sure it pops up over here. But as long as it works down here, you know that it correctly stored the data. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in next week's video.